Flashman, it is
Tiger time.
What a glorious day it is today. I've woken up and looked across Bass Strait. The sun's shining. There's not a breath of wind. Richmond have just selected in the draft 5 picks inside the top 30. And, of course, the big pick 29, a young man from the Clarence Footy Club, now going to be plying his trade at the Richmond Football Club. Very exciting, very, very exciting to have young Sam Banks on the line. Sam, firstly, welcome to Tigerland.
Thanks, Jack. Appreciate it, mate. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable, mate. Where did you watch the draft last night? Were you with your family? And what did it feel like when your name was read out?
Yeah, I was just at home with the family. So mum and dad. I got twin sisters. And then I had a couple of mates. And my girlfriend was here as well. So it wasn't too big, but it was enough to make it very, very special. And yeah, when the name got read out, I was in pure shock for probably a minute or two. But yeah, got a few calls and texts from a lot of people from Richmond, and it's just a dream come true.
Sam, David Lithgow, congratulations, mate. Well done. What a magnificent evening must have been for you and your family. I will let you know here, surrounded by Tiger nuffies. You're the first bloke you spoke to, Mitch Scott, on the phone. He's pushing all the buttons here for us. He's the biggest Tiger nuffie I've ever seen. He's jumping out of his skin. You've got the 3-time Coleman medalist on the other end. He's excited. You must be excited. How good's this?
Like I said to Jack before, it's an absolute dream come true. It's haven't even started yet and jumping out of my skin. But I just can't wait to get over there and meet all the boys and get cracking.
So when you're sitting down over and also the last week or two, did you actually think to yourself, was there, is it the generic line, I don't care where I go, or did you have a couple sneaky favourite teams maybe you would like to get to, and was Richmond one of them?
Well, I've always been a Hawks fan growing up, and I did have an interview with them. I did have an interview with them last week, so I didn't know if there was a bit of interest there or not. And they sort of had a few picks from around the range that I was getting told from everyone, so I didn't know if that was going to work out or not. But I couldn't be more happy to end up at the Tigers.
Run us through the courting process, Sam, in terms of, you've just said there that you had a meeting with Hawthorn recently, affected this year due to the COVID restrictions and in terms of draft camp and preparation. How many clubs do you actually speak to before the draft, and how many meetings have you had over the last fortnight in terms of clubs showing interest?
Over the last fortnight, I only had the one that contacted me personally, but most of the clubs were going through Timmy Hazel, my manager, so that as of late. But during the year, so when we went, I still got to go over to the NAB Academy camp in Melbourne. I broke my wrist 4 days before it, unfortunately, so I couldn't play. But I still went over there and had a few sort of speed dating interviews, as they call them, over there, and then another few of them at our testing day during the year. So throughout the year, I spoke to 17 out of the 18 clubs, but sort of thorough interviews, I guess, like the longer ones, I spoke to 9. So, that's how that sort of worked.
We're speaking to the new Richmond draftee and Tasmania's own Sam Banks, taken pick 29 by the Tigers last night in the NAB AFL draft. The wrist injury, mate, it's the one thing there's a lot of things that have held young men back from playing football this year, COVID, but you personally, the wrist injury. Give us an update, mate, on where that's at. Are you fit and firing for pre-season, which will roll around on Monday?
I've got... I had to have another surgery. So the first time I broke it, I didn't have surgery. They just fixed it up, straightened it and whatnot on the night. But it didn't come 100% good. So I had another op on it late October, and now I think it's about 8 weeks post-operation, and I'm feeling pretty good. Sort of the outside of my wrist is still a bit sore and stuff where the ligaments are, but I'm hoping that all fixes itself in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and get cracking, and hopefully it's all good. Yeah.
Tell us about Sam Banks as the player, mate. You've dreamt about this your whole life, and you're getting to realise your dreams being picked up by the Tigers, and footy's all in front of you. What does Sam Banks bring to the table for the Richmond Footy Club, whether it's next year or, 2, 3, 4 years down the track? Where do you see yourself fitting in, how are you going to do it, and what's your role? And briefly tell us about stuff that you feel like you can compete at the AFL level.
Yeah, so in the last couple of years, I've sort of made a transition back to the halfback flank and out onto the wing. Probably my biggest weapon as a footballer would be my kicking. So that's where I try and use that to the best of my abilities, I guess. And I'm hoping, as you said, in the next 3 or 4 years, I'm pretty lean at the moment, I will admit. So hopefully I can put on a bit of size and whatnot. And in years to come, maybe transition into the midfield and give that a crack as well. So, see how that goes.
Flash, there's nothing more appetising than hearing a man talk about how good of a kick he is as a key forward. I can tell I'll be texting Lynchy straight after this and we'll be licking our lips.
I saw Sam play twice only last year. He is a beautiful kick. And yes, you will be licking your lips as Sam starts his career, Jack, and of course you're at the tail end of his career.
Don't wind me
if
up
you've
yet,
got
Flash.
1 or 2 years.
Don't wind me up yet.
Just surmising.
Sam, you mentioned there that you think there's some room to improve in the gym. I also caught a bit of halfback flank action there. I caught a snippet from an interview that you did with someone else. I'm not sure who it was, but you spoke about likening your game style to Jayden Short. Now, I can tell you right now, when Shorty walked through the doors maybe 6 years ago, I think, as a rookie pick, he was about 50 kilos wringing wet, but he had beautiful foot skills. So I've got a feeling you weigh more than 50 kilos, but you can become Jayden Short, but please don't become the pest he is, because you'll soon learn when Monday rolls around and you walk in those doors, there is one bloke constantly talking, and that's when I'm not there, and that is Jayden Short. He will be a great guide for you, but please don't take up the talking.
I guess there's always one at the club, mate. But as you said, that's probably one bloke that I've looked up to. Sort of player was Jayden, but hopefully I'm not too much of a pest.
Tell us about some of your teammates over the last year or two, Sam. From your perspective, playing with some of the guys. There's obviously the rookie drafts this afternoon. Damien Gill was on earlier and mentioned a couple of the guys that he thinks that, are a chance today. From your perspective, been rubbing shoulders with a couple of the guys that have been mentioned, is there one or two in particular that you'd love to set a list and think is a ready-made AFL player going forward?
Yeah, I think there's a few sneaky chances today. There's a key forward and a key back down here in Will Splan and Baker Smith. Splan, he's my third cousin or something like that, so there's a connection
son
there.
Of Gary Splan?
Yeah, he is. Yep. So he's the big forward. Hopefully he gets a sniff somewhere. And Baker Smith's a key defender. And Baker's probably one of my better mates. We travel to school most days together, and he's from up in New Norfolk, out in the woods down here in Tassie. So hopefully he gets a crack somewhere. And then there's a couple of older boys as well, in Tyler McGuinness and Ollie Sanders, that have had really good years. So hopefully someone gives at least one or two of them a crack at getting a spot next year. So, yeah.
Flash, I actually played against Gary Splan. There you go. That's showing my age a little bit. In a twos game against North Hobart, and he played in the ruck. I remember he had the big, long skins on down to his knees and belted the living suitcases out of me. I think I might have been 15 or 16 at the time, but just shows how old I am getting. Well, one question, Sam, and you've been watching this closely, is the Tasmanian push for an AFL teammate. Let's say all things go well, you roll up to Richmond and you play a few games next year, possibly even sneak into a finals team, maybe playing a couple of premierships early on, and then the Tasmanian licence rolls around in 5 years' time. What would it mean to come home and play footy back in Tassie? Because if I was in your position, I'd be pretty close to jumping ship and come back down here. Is it something that you've thought about? Is it something that you've dreamt about?
I think it's a bit of a funny one. Like when you're growing up in Tassie, like if you want to play at the top level, then you got to make the move. But as you know, Jack, like pulling on the Tassie Guernsey, it's pretty special and something that not many people get to do. So I think it'd be unreal to get down here and play and represent your state every week. But if a club like the Tigers give you a crack when it's your time, then they do that. So I think you get asked that a bit, like in interviews and stuff. But I guess it'd be unreal to do it one day. But yes, just see how things go.
A funny question he's just answered that, because if you asked him that, he just sort of he dead bats it with something else.
Flash, I'd jump ship.
Mate, he's just been drafted to Richmond 10 minutes ago.
I'm already courting the process of, we'll have him at the Tigers while I'm there, and he can serve us well there, and then I wouldn't mind moving into a little maybe management role down here in Tassie when the side rolls around. So I'm already planting the seed that he could come home.
Not wrong.
Tunbridge isn't far from Oatlands, where Sammy's from. It'd be perfect.
No, Tunbridge is only 20 minutes away from where I used to live. So you're right. It'd be home ground for sure.
And your family, Sam, must be terribly excited. Any special moments from anyone in particular last night that you, just to finish off with, that was quite memorable for you? Yeah, so
I've got one actually that comes to mind. I was sitting next to my girlfriend when it happened, and my dad had his knee replaced about 6 weeks ago. The last 6 weeks he's been complaining flat out, asking for this, asking for that. Looked over and he jumped clean out of his seat. Nothing wrong with his knee. And he give me a few tugs. So, that's one that stuck out for me and the missus. Dad, just absolutely nothing wrong with his knee anymore. So, there's one for you.
Busted. Well, Sammy, thank you for joining us here on SEN, mate. We're really looking forward to obviously making the move, and for the Tiger supporters out there, it sounds like we've got a great young man and also a very handy player. So thank you for joining us, mate, and best of luck on the journey, and sing out if you need anything.
Thanks, Jack. Can't wait to meet you. Thanks, everyone.
There we go. Young Sam Bax from the Clarence Football Club, drafted last night, picked 29 to the Richmond Football Club.
Him.
Another one off the text here, Flash. This actually might be a little bit of a theme that's cropping up here. Baker Smith is Maddie Smith from New Norfolk's. Maddie Smith from New Norfolk. It's his son.
That's right.
Maddie Smith belted me in a grand final. 2006, Clarence played New Norfolk in a grand final, and he absolutely whopped me after I took a hanger. Said I was in for a rough day. Ended up kicking 4 or 5, I think, and the Roo boys got home. So there you go. So don't forget, from today, though, from today at 12, head to the SEN app to watch what's trending on Black Friday. Save up to 40% off with Black Friday deals now on barbecues galore. This is Jack and Flash on SEN Hobart.